comrade Benedick. It was during the fabulous festivities that Don Pedro, the soldier's fearless leader, realized that Benedick and Beatrice must like each other. Benedick was always stealing adoring glances at Beatrice when she wasn't looking. When Benedick was talking with other people, Beatrice was looking longingly at him. Don Pedro gathered Hero, Claudio, and Leonato to share with him what he had discovered about their friends. The company agreed that Benedick and Beatrice were in love, and they should help unite them. They immediately began working on a plan. Act 2. The plan was simple. Whenever Benedick was near, they would discuss how much Beatrice loved him, but was too timid to tell him. Then, they would go near Beatrice and talk loudly about how much Benedick loved her, but couldn't find the words to tell her. They carried out their scheme throughout the festivities, but it simply wasn't working. Beatrice and Benedick were as stubborn as donkeys. Neither wanted to confess their fondness for the other. Finally, Hero seized Beatrice and dragged her by the arm into a nearby room. At the same time, Claudio thrust Benedick into the same room. Hero and Claudio shouted at the top of their lungs, "You both love each other, just admit it!" After quite a long period of looking embarrassed and waiting for the other person to break the ice, Benedick and Beatrice finally told each other how they felt. Their friends applauded, and Benedick and Beatrice began planning their own wedding. Meanwhile, no one had noticed the very sneaky and ill-tempered Don John, Don Pedro's estranged brother, lurking in the shadows. Don John felt he never received enough attention or celebration for himself. Whenever he went to parties for other people, he would simply sit in the corner and pout. This party wasn't any different, and just to spite everyone there, he began eating the delicious desserts before the rest of the guests had finished dinner. It was at that very moment he overheard his brother's plan to unite Benedick and Beatrice. As if this party wasn't enough, the thought of another celebration for this new couple really upset Don John. As he sat sulking in the corner, munching on the remaining desserts, his friend Borachio approached. Don John recounted what he had overheard to Borachio and explained how angry he was about the celebration for Hero and Claudio. That's when Borachio came up with a plan of his own. Borachio said that he knew Hero's maid Margaret, and she happened to resemble Hero. Borachio explained that Margaret was in love with him and would go along with all his plots. Don John wasn't sure where his friend was going with this, but he liked the sound of it thus far. Borachio went on to explain that if Don John could arrange the proper meeting at just the right distance, he and Margaret could make it look as if Hero were running away with another man before her wedding. Don John cackled with delight. He already knew the perfect place to enact his nefarious plan. He pulled out his coin purse and tossed it to Borachio. "There's more where that came from if this works," said Don John as he walked away, still laughing about his plan to hoodwink Claudio. Act 3. On the night before the wedding, Don John ran up to Claudio and Benedick, huffing and puffing. He told Claudio that he came bearing dreadful news. He said he had discovered that Hero was in love with another man, and he could prove it, if they followed him. The two men followed Don John to the place he claimed Hero would be, and hid behind a bush where they could just barely see Borachio and Margaret in the distance. Claudio was close enough to hear, but not close enough to see that it wasn't actually...